I've always wanted to do that. Please stand for the processional of the mayor and the council-elect. Good morning and welcome to the inauguration of Mayor-elect Quinton Lucas to serve as mayor of Kansas City. This term will be from 2019 to 2023 as mayor of the Kansas City City Council. My name is Brigette Williams, and I have the honor of serving as the Executive Director of the Heavy Constructors Association of Greater Kansas City. I want to welcome all the elected officials, past and present, dedicated city employees, friends, family, and proud Kansas Cityans who are here to share in this special day. Even though it's raining outside, it's sunny in here. I welcome you today to celebrate the start of a new chapter for Kansas City. With new leadership and new voices coming, this is an exciting change and progress for our city and our region. As a city, we chose these women and men standing here today to represent us, to speak for us, to fight for us. And I have no doubt they will fulfill their oath to serve our great city to the best of their abilities. Their leadership will guide Kansas City to progress and prosperity in all of our neighborhoods. For the next 4 years, Mayor Lucas and Council will address issues large and small, from ensuring our roads and infrastructure are maintained to planning our city for the future and certainly picking up trash. Now we ask that all who are able to please rise for the presentation of the colors presented by honor guards from the Kansas City, Missouri Fire Department and the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. Thank you. Leading us today in the Pledge of Allegiance is Brandon Mixon. Brandon is a veteran and Kansas City native who co-founded the Veterans Community Project, a group with the long-term goal of ending veteran homelessness nationwide. Brandon was a specialist in the United States Army from 2009 through 2013, serving in Afghanistan during that time. Most recently, Brandon was featured in the Netflix program Queer Eye, which was filmed in Kansas City. Ladies and gentlemen, Brandon Mixon.
Thank you. Can I have everybody place their hand over their heart, please? And face the flag for me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Please remain standing as the choir from Oak Park High School leads us in the singing of our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave.
You may be seated. I would like to introduce Bishop James V. Johnson, Jr. of the Diocese of Kansas City, St. Joseph, to deliver today's invocation. Bishop Johnston was ordained a priest in 1990 and has since served in Tennessee and previously as the Bishop of the Diocese of Springfield and Cape Girardeau. We are grateful for the bishop's leadership in the religious life of our community, and we are honored to have him to join us today.
Mindful of God's great love for us, let us pray. Almighty God, you who made us and sustain us with your love, Scripture tells us that not only did you create the heavens and the earth and all that is in them, but even more wondrously, that you knit each of us together in the womb. You created us in your image and thereby bestowed a great and guaranteed dignity on each and every human being. Help us to always work to honor and protect that dignity. Help us to be mindful of the poor and protect the weak. Help us to heal all the racial divides that bring sorrow to our city. Help us to be builders of both prosperity and peace. Help us to reflect your light in the world by actions guided by truth, integrity, and service. Make us good stewards of time and money and freedom and all the other blessings we have received. And on this day when our new mayor takes on the office of responsibility, this day of new opportunity, bless Mayor Lucas and his family as he begins his time of service. Bless the members of our city council, their families, and all the men and women who serve our city along with them. And pour down your blessings, Lord, upon all Kansas Cityans, so that all can flourish in peace and prosperity and goodness. We ask all this in your holy name, confident in your love and mercy. Amen.
Now I get to introduce my friend and a man we all know well, the Honorable Sly James. Sly has served our country in the United States Marine Corps. He was the first African-American partner at the then Blackwell Sanders law firm and has served our city with distinction as mayor since 2011. With words of acknowledgement for the outgoing council, I'd like to introduce to you Mayor Sly James.
Thank you all very much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. To the new council, welcome, and I wish you the absolute best of circumstances with which to work. To Mayor Lucas, I have a sincere desire that you become the best mayor the city has ever had. And in so doing, I know that this city will continue its trajectory, continue to grow, continue to prosper, and continue to be recognized for the truly great place that it is. I know you've got a lot of people coming up to speak and you got a lot of stuff to do, so I'm not going to prolong what I need to say, but I do need you up here for a minute. All right, and so in this bag there are two things. One is relatively small and won't hurt you. Big one. All right. So you'll find in this box 2 sterling silver cufflinks, KC.
Aww.
Now the reason I wanted you to have those cufflinks was because I wanted you to wear your feelings about Kansas City on your sleeve.
Learn from the best.
All right. Now the other. Now in this box, you'll find a flask. Because there's going to be days when you're going to need to sneak away, have a little something, something, get it all back together. Both of these are given with nothing but respect. I expect you to be exactly who you are, and I expect you to lead this city in the way that you feel best. And I'll be there to support you anytime that you need it. Other than that, I'm going to be silent. But when you need me, if you need me, you call, and I'll answer.
Thank you so much.
My best.
Mayor-elect, can I borrow that flask?
Anytime.
To introduce Quinton today, we are honored to welcome the Honorable Teresa Davies. United States Representative for the 3rd District of Kansas City. Representative Davies is a proud Kansas native. She was raised by a single mother who served in the United States Army. Representative Davies went on to attend Johnson County Community College, UMKC, and graduated with a law degree from Cornell, which is where she and Quinton Lucas met. They both represented Kansas City well and were students there at the same time. In the 116th Congress, Representative Davies serves on the committees for small business and transportation and infrastructure. Those potholes have got to go. We are honored to show regional collaboration today and thank Representative Davies for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, Teresa Davies.
Well, I'm disappointed that I didn't bring that flask that I was going to give you, but you could have had 2. Thank you so much for having me here today. It is so exciting to be invited to be a part of just something that's so monumental in my mind. And welcome to all the new and continuing to serve council members. I'm very excited for the future, not just of Kansas City, but of our region as a whole. So congratulations, Mayor-elect Lucas. Here in a few minutes, I'll just be saying Mayor. Thank you for inviting me to share this occasion with you and with the city. I'm happy to be here to celebrate with everyone as Quinton joins a long list of dynamic Kansas City mayors, including my mentor, Congressman Emanuel Cleaver, and Kay Barnes, of course, and then Mayor Sly James, who many of us love. You are joining excellent company for sure. Some of you might know that I went to law school with Quinton, and that's not where our similarities end. We share quite a few similarities. We were both raised by single mothers, and we both had to work really, really hard to push through a lot of the obstacles to get us where we're standing today. Some of you know what I mean when I say we had to push through obstacles and work really hard to get to where we are. And it's incredible to watch my law school classmate and a fellow Kansas Cityan, regional, take that skill and the drive to push through and turn it into public service. And whether that was during his time as a professor, a mentor to folks, or a member of the city council. Neither one of us had the most traditional path to public office, since we had to push through so many obstacles and had to, in a lot of ways, create the opportunities or depend on our communities to create the opportunities that could ensure that we are standing where we are today, to make sure that the work we do benefits the next generation and the one after that in the way that the future generation or the past generations have helped get us here. So I just want to say congratulations. I know that we both share this dedication to improving that next generation for our community, and you know, it has been quite the journey. And at the end of the day, one of the reasons that I'm so glad to be at the beginning of this journey with you is because I know that that dedication does not depend on where the state line is. It is truly one KC. When we think about when we think about this area thriving, sure, it has to do with addressing the potholes. It has to do with improving infrastructure. But the infrastructure for our area does not stop at the state line. Our ability to work together as a region is going to be the thing that leads to not just a thriving economy, but a thriving community. And we heard about that in our opening invocation. Was very powerful words, and I appreciate those, and I'm going to take them home with me today. I am very committed to being as strong a partner as I can. As you know, I sit on the House Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and the Small Business Committee, and we're going to take the entrepreneurship that's baked into the DNA of this region, and we're going to turn that into great partnerships as we move forward. We're going to take my voice on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee and make sure that when I'm thinking about ways that we can improve federal policy, that it includes the entire region. And I know that so many of us know issues of education, issues of infrastructure, these are not just Missouri issues, they're not just Kansas issues, these are regional issues, they're American issues, and we're going to tackle them together. Thank you so much for allowing me to participate in this with you today. I'm committed to working with you, Mr. Mayor. And congratulations again. I know you're going to serve this city with all of your heart, and we are all going to benefit from it. Mr. Mayor.
Well, it is my honor and privilege to introduce to you a young man that might be young in age, but is wise. He has wisdom beyond most 70-year-olds. You want to pat him on the head, but you know, he's a thoughtful guy. You can't rush him to decisions. He's who he is, and I appreciate that about him. It's going to take somebody who is willing to be comfortable in their own skin and who's willing to step out there on faith and do what's right for this community. And I am proud to say that my friend, Mayor-elect Quinton Lucas, is that guy. Ladies and gentlemen, Quinton Lucas.
Please raise your right hand.
Come on up. Come on. Don't be bashful.
Please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Quinton Lucas,
I, Quinton Lucas,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I possess all qualifications
that I possess all qualifications
for the office
for the office
of Mayor of the City of Kansas City,
for Mayor of the City of Kansas City,
that I am not subject
that I am not
to
subject
any disqualifications
to any
in
disqualification
the Charter of Kansas City,
in the Charter of Kansas City,
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States
of the United States
and the state of Missouri,
and the state of Missouri,
that I will observe all provisions
that I will observe all provisions
of the Charter of Kansas City
of the Charter of Kansas City
and the ordinances of Kansas City,
and the ordinances of Kansas City,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of the office
the duties of the office
of Mayor of the City of Kansas City.
of Mayor of the City of Kansas City.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. Well, thank you all so much. Thank you, Your Honor. I do want to note one thing. I am a Baptist myself, and I have my pastor here, so I will not use that flask too soon or anything of that sort. I want to thank you all for sharing this moment with our families here on the City Council, with so many of our peers, and with our great community today. I note the rain outdoors this morning, and some of you may recall that on election night, it was pouring rain. And so for some people, clear blue skies are this beacon of good fortune, but for me, rain is the thing I look for all the time. Every big life event needs some rain in connection with it. I want to start by acknowledging some very special people and many of the participants in today's program. Brigette Williams has made history herself as the first African-American woman to direct one of our city's great organizations and is an outstanding leader for our region. Thank you, Brigette, for being here. The color guard represents the Kansas City, Missouri Fire Department and the Kansas City, Missouri Police Department. Both agencies work hard every day for the betterment of our community. I thank them for their service and their sacrifice each day. I'd like to give them a round of applause as well. Bishop Johnston and I had a conversation before. I'd never had the good fortune of meeting him, but in lots of corners around my campaign, they said, "Have you met the bishop yet?" I said no, and I figured this is a great way to have a first meeting. And so thank you for your prayer, thank you for all that you do for our region, and thank you for being with us today. or worry not. I have to give a shout out to my friend Brandon. Brandon and all of the co-founders of Veterans Community Project are an outstanding group of young folks who have worked hard to make sure that not only that we're taking care of veterans, but frankly we're taking care of homelessness issues, we're bridging the truce divide in Kansas City, we're letting people know that we care about them. For what you do for our community, young people, old people, folks of all types in our community, thank you, Brandon. And as Congresswoman Davids noted, rare is it that you get a chance to speak in front of your mentors. I met Judge Benton also at Cornell Law School some years ago. Good things happen in upstate New York, I guess. And he encouraged me to come back to Missouri and make a difference. At that time, I was considering whether to start my career in Washington and become, as I think he said, the millionth lawyer in D.C., or make a real difference here. I have been so grateful for his advice since then and his counsel, and I'm delighted that he's with us today. Thank you, Your Honor. And then finally, in this set, Congresswoman Sharice Davids. She's an outstanding woman. You know all the political background and all of that. But I just want to describe two things about her to you. When we came back from law school, Sharice and I would occasionally grab dinner. And I remember having the most amazing conversations here in Kansas City about our efforts to avoid the billable hour, which we've successfully done, about our efforts to try to make a difference in our communities, and her hard work to make sure that the people of Kansas know that no matter where you come from, no matter your background, no matter who you are, no matter who you love, you have a voice in public service, you have great representation. I am so honored to be joined by our friend Sharice Davids here today. Thank you for being here. So I won't take too long because I know it's hot, and Bridget was fanning and saying, Lucas, you got to keep moving, and I'll make sure I do it. So I'll note a few things. Today we celebrate a new administration and new opportunities, a new day in Kansas City. But while we do that, we recognize those who've been our predecessors and who come before us. And you always get in trouble mentioning people because you'll forget someone, but there are a few special people I want to note who are with us today. First of all, Mayor Charles Wheeler is with us, Dr. Wheeler. We're so delighted to have you. And by the way, in case you're wondering, Dr. Wheeler, Mayor Wheeler, will soon be celebrating his 93rd birthday. Not only did he tell me about his birthday, he invited me to the party, August 10th at Westport Flea Market. So you're all welcome to come and join us in connection with that. I also want to acknowledge, and he's still standing this whole time, Mayor Richard Berkley. Thank you for doing that. A lot of outstanding things happened during Mayor Berkley's term, not least of which I was born here in Kansas City, Missouri. So thank you for all of the great development that you helped foster in Kansas City. And then I want to make sure I acknowledge, I know he had to step away, but Mayor Sly James. Local pundits and political watchers spend a great deal of time talking about Sly and I's relationship, and occasionally we give them good fodder to discuss it. But I want to make sure that he knows that I recognize his service for our country, our city, the fact that he's been devoted to our city for decades while raising a family, and he made that difficult choice that many people wouldn't, which is to leave a lucrative law practice to serve the community and the city that he loves. I want to make sure we thank Sly James for all of his service, for his bravery, and his passion for our community. So as you'll learn very quickly, this event is in no way all about me. It's about an amazing set of people that I have the honor to serve with. 12 outstanding women and men, some of whom I've had the fortune of serving with for 4 years and who have taught me quite a bit in a short amount of time. Others who are joining us today. All of them spent the last year, in the case of Kevin O'Neill, the last 3 or 30 years, walking the city, talking to people about picking up trash, engaging groups of all types. Our city council features preeminent experts in state and local government, lifelong supporters of our servicemen and women, mothers, fathers, grandparents, engineers, millennials, Gen Xers, baby boomers, community advocates, progressives, moderates, and a conservative. Thank you, Heather. Diversity. But more than anything, people passionate about the opportunities ahead for Kansas City. So to Lee, Teresa, Katheryn, Heather, Dan, Kevin, Melissa, Brandon, Ryana, Eric, Andrea, and McDreamy, thank you for caring so much about our community. Thank you for giving me a chance. And thank you to your families for allowing you to serve. One other thing I also want to note, and I'll just take a point of personal privilege. Andrea Bough, I've had the chance to get to know her family over the years, and I saw that she's celebrating her 27th anniversary to a ne'er-do-well by the name of Steve, who now goes by Judge, a good nickname for him. Happy anniversary to you, Andrea, and happy anniversary, Judge. So we all get in this endeavor to do something, not to be something. We recognize as council people and colleagues why City Hall matters in the life of Kansas Cityans each day. At a certain point, this amazing, and you are amazing, crowd will leave. At a certain point, the number of press folks in the room will drop down to a smaller number, although we want you to stay, we really do. But to ensure that we're continuing our steps forward, we have to make sure we're passionate about the key issues for our community. For me, that means working on public transit to ultimately, and working with Robbie McKinnon, to ensure that we'll have free public bus transportation in Kansas City. We want to make sure that every dollar sent to us by a taxpayer or a ratepayer in our city is spent wisely, fairly, and consistently, and in accordance with the promises we've made to the voters. We want to make sure we give more people who may need a second chance that opportunity to lift up their lives. And we want to make sure, whether it's a law enforcement officer, a teenager getting off of work, or perhaps one of your or my family members, that everybody in our city has the opportunity to get home safely tonight and all nights. So over the next 4 years, we have some big things to do. Some of the expectations are continuations of what we're already working on. Some may be challenges we don't already know. We have to complete the new airport terminal project on time, before the 2023 NFL draft, and on budget. We need to continue renegotiation of the EPA consent decree so that rapidly increasing water rates that are hurting our poorest can be alleviated, or at least we don't have that same rapid increase. We have to commit to the rehabilitation and creation of more affordable housing and stable neighborhoods in Kansas City, all throughout our city. And my friends, the vigor and the passion that we need to address affordable housing with is that same vigor and passion that we build convention hotels with, that we do big infrastructure projects. Affordable housing matters, quality of life matters. And in something that Brigette would like, we must be consistent with our promise to taxpayers to address long-term existing road repair and infrastructure needs before the winter pothole season hits. And finally, to the many employees here, and I know there are a number of you that are here, as a child of a lifelong government worker and somebody who knew what the pain was when you would go, and my mother can remind me, 5 years, 8 years without pay increases, benefits that were reduced time and time again, we have to commit to compensating better, fairly, and adequately the thousands of employees that go to work for Kansas City, Missouri every day. And my friends, no issue is more important. No issue is more important. You can have all the greatest things in the world, but no issue is more important than preventing the tragic loss of lives to violence and drug addiction we see each year in our city. It's been mentioned a time or two that I'm a young mayor, and I think the youngest in about 120 years, and I'm proud of that fact. That perspective gives me the opportunity to note that for almost every year of my entire life, Kansas City has been on the list of America's most dangerous cities. For almost every year of my life, I've lived in neighborhoods where young lives, particularly young black lives, were cut short before boys and girls could reach their prime. For almost every year of my life, I've lived in neighborhoods where people were forced or felt forced to abandon our city so that they can live, hopefully, in peace. I don't want to get to old age accepting that as an everyday fact of life. I don't want to be a city where we have ribbon cuttings about stadiums or big infrastructure, but simply shrug about the violence in our streets, the mental illness we deal with, particularly among the homeless, and the drug addictions that plague our city every day. And I'll just say this, public safety is expensive, but the value of human life is much greater. I ask you, all of my colleagues, to stand with me as we commit by the end of this term to getting our city off the FBI top 10 most dangerous cities list. I ask you, my colleagues, to work with our public safety folks, to work with community organizations and so many others, to get our homicide number, and this shouldn't really be a goal, but let's just start at this, to get our homicide number consistently below 100 homicides per year. That's something we just have to do. So the issues to me are somewhat simple, and they're not new. I may be young, but these are issues we've been talking about for a long time, and that with your support on the City Council, with your support in the public, we're going to address. Public safety, opportunities for workforce development and stable housing in all Kansas City neighborhoods, fixing our broken infrastructure, fiscal responsibility, and open and transparent government each day. Although some have called this a time of change, I call this a time of renewal. Today we renew our promise to voters, to our citizens, to our neighbors, to do what they expect of us, to run an efficient government focused on good service delivery, like picking up the trash and improving the quality of life for everyday Kansas Cityans, to remember that momentum has to include us all, to not forget where we came from, and to never forget who needs help. So about 25 years ago, my mother was working hard to raise 3 children herself, and some of her grandchildren are here today. We moved frequently. Our cars broke down all the time. I mean, all the time. Chevy Novas would not get you around that well. Walking and the bus were things that particularly my sisters knew. When they were going to different schools during the desegregation era, they caught the Metro bus frequently. My mom caught the Metro bus to get to work. But showing the love and the work and the passion of a mother, I still don't know how she did it. She found a way to get me to a private school at 115th and State Line when we were staying on 41st in Indiana and all these other spots. And so I thank her and my family so much for getting me here today. So I'll also note, when I was growing up, I didn't know my father. So my mentors were some amazing men, my uncles Don and Quinton. Uncle Don was a proud airman who I didn't even see that much, and I still remember something years ago. He was sent off to the Persian Gulf War, and he came back, and I didn't even remember him. And I thought, how many lives, how many people, how many moments did he miss serving our country? And that was always a sign of me of how great a man he was, how great a family man he was. And he's not with us today, but I thank him for all he's meant in my life. And I have another uncle who is here today, and it's a name you may recognize, and his name is Quinton. We have this thing with Quintons in our family. And Uncle Quinton was somebody who always told me to work hard. He always told me that whatever struggle you're going through now could be much harder. So pick your chin up and keep working and keep striving and keep struggling. He's worked hard in factories his whole life. He woke up early, raised 2 beautiful children, and continues to be a mentor to me and so many young men today. Thank you to Uncle Quinton for being here today as well. But I want to end, I'm getting close to closing, and I'll get Pastor Lindsay up here who can bring us home. You know, I don't want to just thank my family. I want to thank so many others. You know, I see Alicia Kennedy out there. I see Jermaine Reed out there. Let's give them a round of applause, by the way. You know, they were raised by hardworking families like mine. Alicia's mother, worked her tail off to get Alicia to where she is. I know Jermaine Reed talks to us often about the message his grandparents left with him that resonated and made him an outstanding city councilman for 8 years. I want to thank those mothers, those fathers, those grandparents, those aunties and uncles, the friend, like Rochinda and so many others, that made sure a kid like me could spend time at the public library in the summer. And first it was just to be inside in the air conditioning. Eventually it became the opportunity to read books. I want to thank those who, when I was walking around downtown at about 12 years old, and my mother would just let me kind of roam the streets and walk by Gigi's wig store and all these other places. Those people said, boy, what you doing? You need to get somewhere. But I want to really thank more than anything Kansas City. You see, I'm lucky and honored, like many of us are, to have great family members. But this city raised me too. I am one of those who thinks takes a village to raise a child. And the adversity that I faced here every day, it made me stronger. The public investment that folks like this council and so many others made in things like the library system, like sidewalks, like roads, made me wiser, made me healthier, made me stronger. The churches, the safety net hospitals, the community organizations gave me mentorship, helped me become the man I am today. And seeing people on television like Alvin Brooks, Carol Coe, Emmanuel Cleaver, Kay Barnes, let me know that I could dream of doing anything in this world. So our work now, council colleagues, is to expand that hope and make sure it's maintained to every person in our city, young and old. Our work is to make sure that no one is left behind in Kansas City in our next generation. And our work is to ensure that we leave this city and its diverse neighborhoods, in every Kansas City neighborhood, safer, healthier, and stronger than we find them today. I welcome the challenge. I welcome your prayers. I welcome the hard work ahead. Thank you, God bless you, and God bless our great city.
I told you he was wise beyond his years. I just have one thing to say. When I took my first leadership position at the age of 27, I remember the men on my board would refer to me as kid. And I just thought that was so disrespectful because I had fought my way to the top just like they had. I just want to say to you, Quinton, enjoy being called kid. I wish somebody would call me kid today. So next, to administer the oath of office to the City Council is City Council Clerk Marilyn Sanders.
If the city council members could all rise, please. On your desk in front of your speakers, there is the oath. If you can sign the back of that for me, please, and leave it on your desk.
That was easy.
All right, if you can raise your right hand for me, please. When I'm done, just say I do. Okay? I do solemnly swear that I possess all qualifications of the office of council member required by the Charter of Kansas City, Missouri, adopted by the vote of the people of said city, August 8, 2006, and all subsequent amendments thereto, and am not subject to any disqualifications in said charter named, that I will support the Constitution and laws of the United States and of the state of Missouri, that I will observe the visions of the charter and ordinances of Kansas City, and that I will faithfully discharge the duties of said office, so help me God. You are sworn in.
Thank you, Marilyn. Thank you, Mayor Lucas. Now I would like to introduce to you the 2019 to 2023 representatives of the City Council. I ask them to all stand as I read your names, and I ask you to please hold your applause until the end. 1st District, Heather Hall. 1st District at Large, Kevin O'Neill. 2nd District, Dan Fowler. 2nd District at Large, Teresa Loar. 3rd District, Melissa Robinson. 3rd District at Large, Brendan Ellington. There's always one. 4th District, Eric Bunch. 4th District at Large, Katheryn Shields. 5th District, Ryana Parks Shaw. 5th District at Large, Lee Barnes. 6th District, McDreamy Kevin McManus. 6th District at Large, Andrea Bough. You've already administered the oath of office, so welcome and congratulations to your new city council. Joining us this morning to deliver the benediction is Reverend Ronald Lindsay, Senior Pastor of Concord Fortress of Hope Church. Reverend Lindsay also serves as the Chairman of the Board of Hope Community Development Corporation and as a board member of the Eastland Division of the Greater Kansas City Community Foundation. I'd like to introduce to you Pastor Ron Lindsay.
Thank you, Bridget. If you will stand with me as we prepare to leave this place. Benedictions are not farewells, they are blessings. We celebrate the life of Kansas City. We thank God for the journey that has great victory, but also has great pain. But we grow from our pain, for we are Kansas City. We cry together, we laugh together, for we are Kansas City. To this council, you have a great responsibility to serve this amazing city, for we are Kansas City. To this mayor, the duty on your head is daunting. The pain will be excruciating at times, but you are to lead this Kansas City. For we go from this place with heads held high, knowing if God be for us, who can be against us? Go in God's grace and peace. You are dismissed.